Hi everyone, in this video I want to talk about finding the mean, median, and mode of a data set. Here are the two problems that we'll do, and to make sure we don't take ourselves too seriously, let's think about the fun question. What did you want to be when you grew up, when you were a young child? My answer to this is a firefighter. Okay, so math section. Algebra 1, let's call probability and stats under Algebra 1, even though it's really its own entity. A lot of times you will learn these concepts in an Algebra 1 class. They are always on there. Always, always. So it's not uncommon for you to see mean, median, and mode in these fashions. So one could just say, what's the median of this data set? Or it could say, like, in which cases is the median greater than the mode, or something like that. The other case is something like this, where you have 5 test scores and the average, but you need to find the 6th test score. Okay. So these are really great practice problems. So if it says find the mode, median, and mean for each data set, I think we should probably write what each of those are. Mode is, I'll just write really quick shorthand notes. Appears most often. And then median, middle. Kind of like medio in Spanish. You can think of other languages where you can think of like medium or other variations. You just need little things that help you remember. Middle, I'll say when least to greatest. We have to remember that if it's not in order, that we have to order that data set. The mean is, these are all different types of averages, but the mean is your most common. Average would be the most probable word that you would use to describe mean. So average, and that's numbers added, then divide by amount. So you just need ways to remember each of them. That's half the battle, is knowing what a mode even is. Okay, so you look at this data set, and we have dots over all of the various numbers. These are the number of minutes to run 5 kilometers. So I'm noticing that there are 2 28s, and so that is going to be the mode. Okay, so you write 28, you don't write anything else, it's just the number that appears most often. The median, when you list them from least to greatest, these are already listed from least to greatest, would be, so you're just counting them off. So I'm looking at a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 dots. And so now what I need to do is count backwards. Let's count from back to front. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that means that the halfway mark is right there. Now just because I need to make sure there are 8 dots over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so I know that the middle of this data set is right between the 31 and the 33. When that happens, we are going to take the average of the two of them, because this is an odd numbered data set. So we have 31 plus 33 over 2. That would then give you 64 divided by 2 is 32. So you can kind of see it on here, but let's say you just had a list of numbers and it's really hard to tell. You add the 2 middle numbers. It's like taking the average or taking the mean of those 2 innermost numbers and then divide by 2. The mean is the average, so for this one, I would have to add them all up, and that would take a long time in my calculator. And so sometimes you have a number to the nearest 10th, like they'll ask you round to the nearest 10th. And I did sneak the answers under here just so I could show you. They are right here. So 28, yes, for mode. Median 32, got it. The mean here, if you add up all of those numbers and divide by 16, which is how many entries there are, you would get 32.44. Okay, so 32.44, that's the sum of all of these. So 21 plus 23 plus 24 plus 25 plus 26 and so on. And those are our 3 numbers. Now, different animal for the next one. You have 5 test scores. You've got 90, 98, 96, 94, 85, and then typically you'd say plus whatever else all over 6 is equal to the average, but we know the average. The average is 92. It's that X number that we don't know. So now what do we do? Well, if that's the process, add them up and divide by the number of numbers, then you can just do that. So in my calculator, I'm going 90 plus 98 plus 96 plus 94 plus 85. So that is 463. Over 6 equals 92. Okay, so the kicker is you have to solve for X. We know the 92. We know typically that's the number that you're asked for. But this type of problem I see all the time where it's too easy to be asked just what's the mean of this data set. This makes you think a little bit more. So what I suggest right here is multiplying by 6 on both sides to try to get X by itself. 463 plus X equals 92 times 6 is 552. Excuse me, battling a cold here. 89. Okay, so that person, whoever's taking these tests, would need to get an 89 on that 6th test in order to get a 92 in the class, or as the average of those tests. We have some practice problems. Now, this first one is easier than the one I gave you earlier, because it has an odd number of entries, and that will allow you to get a median a little bit easier because you don't have to do any sort of averaging in the middle. And let's just assume that the directions are the same as before. This is what is the mode, median, and mean. And then for this one, what must Maria score on the 6th test? Now this one's a little different, maybe a little harder, because she has an average of an 88 after taking 5 tests. So you have to think about, what do you do? What's a technique that you could use? And try not to do guess and check, because a lot of my students try that and they end up getting the answer wrong. So I'll pause the video. You can try these, see if you get them right. Here come the answers. Answers are here. So for the first one, we have mode 3, median 6. Mean is 7.18. And then on the last one, this is totally the way I would do it. You would just call those 5 test scores 88, 88, 88, 88, 88. Just if you know those are the average, if that's the average, then just throw an 88 in as a placeholder for all 5 of them, and then you can solve. Okay, on to a little motivation here. So if we make mistakes, we are very human, and it is proof that we are trying. The human brain doesn't actually learn anything for the long term unless you make those mistakes, you grapple with the material, and you are kind of stressing your brain in a way where you're trying to figure out what not to do in order to get something right. And so we have to remember that if we get things wrong, our brain is basically building up a certain scar tissue so that we can then in the future get it right. So I hope this video benefited you in some way. Now that you have thought about the fun question, let's leave our answers in the comments for fun. And if you would like to keep up with new videos, I'd appreciate if you click to subscribe. Have a great day.